Let us come to order. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the City of Madeira Beach Board of Commissioners Special Workshop Meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 9th, and the time is 5 p.m. Would the city clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Palladino,
Here.
Vice Mayor Gohavi,
Here.
Commissioner Lister,
Here.
Commissioner Hodges,
Here.
Commissioner Poe.
And just to let anybody know, if you want to make public comment tonight for the regular meeting, there is cards in the back if you need to sign for public comment. The city clerk are they back there already? Or do they
No, I
need to
have them right here.
Okay, thank you.
I'll go put them in the back.
All right, the first topic is presentation by the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, Sean Sullivan. And Mr. Sullivan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for having me, members of the commission, city manager. The Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council has been asked by Vice Mayor Govahi to make a presentation to you this afternoon. I do have a brief PowerPoint on a thumb drive, if I can plug it into your electronic device. Is that possible? To plug this in somewhere?
I think so. Do we have Nick in the back, John? Do you want to check?
Oh, here we go. Oh, it's already, oh, perfect. Oh, great. Step ahead of me. Thank you very much. As that's loading, I'll introduce myself. My name is Sean Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. I'm a veteran of 6 months, so if you'll bear with me as I learn the area.
I'm sorry, I don't think the microphone's on. Is the microphone on?
Is that a little better?
There.
As you could probably tell, my origin is in New England, so I do park the car every now and then. Please excuse my accent. But I'm here to tell you some good things about the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council. Council has been around since 1962. We have 26 member governments of our member governments, many of which are neighbors of yours. Pinellas County, certainly one of our larger partners, Hillsborough County, Pasco County, Manatee County. Who am I missing, Ava? Citrus and Hernando, our two newest counties to our north. We've been around, like I say, since 1962. We convene the region, that's our motto. We work diligently on behalf of member governments. We have 10 meetings a year. They last approximately 2 hours. Member governments become members by paying an annual dues, and if the city were interested in joining, your annual dues would be $2,000. I know Vice Mayor Govahi has served on the council for a number of years and encouraged us to come and speak with you today. And I think we do a lot of good things. If I can load this up. I could see it on my screen, I just don't see it on the... I could see here, I'm just not sure how to get it there. I could just run through it.
I'm so sorry about that.
Can you just shrink it so I can read it a little better?
Shrink the, I'm sorry, shrink
I can flip through my, I did bring a hard copy. Mr. Mayor, if I could hand out some of those. Looks great on this screen, but just not, I can read, that's fine. Okay, I know you're trying. Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, as I mentioned, we've been convening the region since 1962. Our mission statement is to serve our citizens and member governments by providing a forum to foster communication, coordination, and collaboration in identifying and addressing issues and needs regionally. As I mentioned, our area covers 6 counties. approximately 5,000 square miles, and we represent 3.4 million people. And again, the counties are Citrus, Hernando, Hillsborough, Manatee, Pasco, and Pinellas. Our motto is established back in 1962 as a convener of the region. We promote regional leadership and stewardship. We have an annual Future of the Region Award Summit, and we encourage member governments to submit projects, innovative projects that they have developed and worked on in a particular year. We rank those with our member governments, and we provide awards on an annual basis. We do many important things, and one of the things that I think is most important, particularly to a waterfront community like the city of Madeira Beach, is our emergency preparedness preparation plans. We provide local emergency planning committee. We do hurricane preparedness planning, and we were the first in the state of Florida to provide a disaster planning guide, and we do all of those on an annual basis. We do storm surge modeling. We have a gentleman on staff. We're comprised of, I call, 10 specialists, or 10 of us who comprise our staff. We occupy 40% of our 25,000 square foot building. We have an IT director who does storm surge modeling. As I mentioned, evacuation studies. We come up with local mitigation strategies. And we also, one of the things that we're working on currently is our post-disaster redevelopment plans. We provide staff support to the local emergency planning committee, and we recently completed a commodity flow study into the region. Another prime objective is to our environment and awareness of our environment and the preservation of our natural environment. We are very proud of our agency on bay management, which is essentially a subcommittee of the council. They meet, I believe, every other month. They have a very important mission, and that is to ensure that the water quality in Tampa Bay remains second to none, and a very active advocate for the environment in the region. We also produce a magazine, which we're about to take from a hard copy to an electronic version, called Bay Soundings. You may have seen that at some of the fishing folks and spots around here in Madeira Beach. We have a consultant who works with us. We write articles on common, prevalent environmental issues that are prevalent in the region, and we're about to go all electronic with that particular publication. We also have a One Bay Resilient Communities Committee. We have BASIS 6, which is a scientific symposium that we run every other year. I think the last time we had it was held in Hillsborough County, if I'm not mistaken. We work with the Florida Department of Transportation for stormwater education and outreach. And those of you, you might notice on some of your catch basins, I happened to notice at John's Pass when my wife and I were there the other night, that there's a sign on the catch basin that says only rain down the drain, drains to bay. And that is to encourage folks not to throw any foreign material down the bay, that let it be rainwater and not any other objects. And then we also have a Springs Management Committee. Another primary focus of the Regional Planning Council is economic development. We are a designated economic development district by the Economic Development Administration of the United States Department of Commerce. We formulate our economic plan in accordance with the six pillars design. We also do economic analysis. We're about to do so for some of our member governments on some of the events that occur within the region and the economic impact to a particular community. And we do energy planning. Within the last couple of years, we held an energy summit with our partners and found that to be very successful. Every 5 years, we develop a comprehensive economic development strategy. This year, we are in an update cycle that is currently underway. We also have done studies for the Strawberry Festival in Plant City, recently for the Hernando County School Board, and we're in the process of working with the City of Treasure Island right now on a redevelopment study. Transportation and land use. We are continually advocating for one regional transportation plan. We work diligently with TBARDA and the MPOs and metropolitan planning organizations in the region. We have a seat at the table. My background is working for the Federal Transit Administration, so transportation is something that's near and dear to my professional career and something that I'm learning more and more about here in the region. We also take pride in our work with the Courtney Campbell Scenic Highway. We have a committee that meets every other month, chaired by Commissioner Bill Johnson Councilor Bill Johnson from the City of Clearwater. We meet and we talk about the importance of the scenic highway and the trail within the highway. We offer and we have provided community visioning. We develop a local comprehensive plan. We have input into comp plans. We have a livable communities subcommittee. We've developed a decision support system, and we've recently worked on a Corey Ave redevelopment project. With that, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I could tell you on behalf of the 26 member governments that we have, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, we would welcome your interest, welcome you to become a partner in the good deeds that we do. We would hope to learn from you, and we would hope that we would have a lot to offer the city.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. And I know the representative of the Mayor's Council that usually updates us with everything, I believe, is Mayor Chris Brown from Largo. And also I know Bob Minning is a past president. So I've been able to attend a few of your meetings. And what I found very interesting in a lot of things that you do is how you advise each directly to the governor in the state of Florida. So it is an outstanding job that y'all do together. And I believe, how many people are usually there? I mean, it was, what, 40, 50 people?
We have 42 members on our
on
council.
board, yeah, so that's quite a group of people you have throughout the county area. Does any other commissioners have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I may, thank you for making this presentation. As this board may know, I served on TVPRC for 6 years. I was an appointee by the governor and enjoyed being a part of that group tremendously. When you are sitting in that arena of high-profile people, you really learn a lot. You learn a lot from the other cities, and you see what they're doing, how they're doing it, and it makes it easy. It made it easy for me to understand, because I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. All I had to do is just look around and see how everybody else was doing it, and you know, I could learn quite a bit. So, in my humble opinion, personal opinion, you know, you can bring a wonderful opportunity to the table for us here. I would recommend to be a part of a bigger team, as you guys are. Mayor, I really can't stress this enough to say that this group is really just wonderful, and you know, we could definitely benefit from being involved with them, and the citizens of this town will have a better idea of what else is going on around us.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Any other commissioners? Any other commissioners with any questions? Commissioners, would you like to go ahead and what's your pleasure, bring this up for a discussion of the workshop about joining? I know that I've been to several meetings, and like I said, I think the Vice Mayor pretty much said it all.
Should we, I mean, if the pleasure of this board is to join, I would be more than happy to make a motion.
Well, at this time, it's a workshop, so we
Yeah,
can't.
Mr.
we can't
Vice
make-
Mayor, so
right.
you can't make a motion at a workshop.
Right.
However, they can give like a thumbs up, so to
Yes.
speak. So, Mr. Mayor, we do have money in the budget for something like this. I would ask that that would wait until the calendar flips in October, which is right around the corner. But yeah, you could give the provisional heads up, or thumbs up, that we join the organization and that we would appoint the Vice Mayor as our representative. And then, since the dues are well within my range of authority, they can just send the dues after October 1. And from that point on, the Vice Mayor would be appointed.
Wonderful.
Commission, what's your pleasure?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Okay. City Manager?
All right.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, thank you. Next, number 2, funding request from the Treasure Island and Madeira Beach Chamber of Commerce. Mr. City Manager.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this can be very short and simple. I see we have the executive director from the chamber here, along with some other board members. I serve on the executive committee, and I had formerly been on the board of directors. This chamber has proven to provide value. Initially, when I was on it, as this board knows, I wasn't exactly in favor and was skeptical of its existence, but not to repeat myself, but we've turned the corner. And so routinely we have given, I don't want to say a donation, but we funded it in a very minor way. Both cities have, and this year, Treasure Island has already committed $5,000. I have $5,000 in the city manager's budget for contributing to the chamber, and I just wanted to let that be known, and so it wasn't a small line item that you missed in your review of the city manager's budget. But I would respectfully request that that be upheld, and that come, whenever Vince can cut a check in October, that we would write a check for $5,000 to the Chamber of Commerce for Treasure Island, Madeira Beach.
And Mr. Sam Andrew, I understand that, but would we be looking, I mean, there's a couple of chambers, and Missy, you've done a fantastic job. You've done a great job with the chamber, and it has changed up a lot of things since you've taken over as president. I'm just curious, there's another chamber out there, so I mean, we're probably gonna be coming to look for the same thing, Mr. City Manager, so I mean,
Well,
you can't.
There's 20 chambers out there that are gonna come
Exactly,
asking for the
I
same
can
thing.
think of Pinellas Park,
This
Clearwater
isn't
Chamber.
any different than anything that we've probably done in the last 2 or
Okay.
3 years. I don't think I'm letting the cat out of the bag that there are conversations with the Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber to be some sort of, to unify in some fashion. Those conversations are are taking place not as we speak, but in fact, there was a meeting about a week ago. I don't think anybody else is gonna be coming for their handout, frankly, because none of them have Madeira Beach Chamber of Commerce in their name. This is a little bit unique to Madeira Beach. I think we get a personal touch, so to speak, by belonging to this chamber. The Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber, and if Robin was here, I think, I always say that there's a macro and a micro concept to these two chambers, and Robin's is a very macro type, regional type concept, and ours is a little bit closer to home, a little bit more micro, and so we belong to both chambers, we support both chambers, we pay to both chambers. The Tampa Bay Beaches Chamber gets the booth in John's Pass, and when we participate in a number of events that they do. Lately, the local business, ribbon cuttings and things of that sort, you've seen that both chambers have been present, and they've been cooperating hand in glove, so to speak. And so those are the two chambers that we're really concentrating on. We had belonged to Clearwater Beach and Clearwater, and you name it, we were a member, and I don't think it was showing a lot of value. So these are the two chambers that we'd like to concentrate on at the moment. And again, at the moment, they're looking to become some sort of, I don't want to call it a conglomerate, but to unify in some fashion. So with that, I have no concern that somebody's going to come with their handout asking for a check for $5,000.
Does any other commissioner have any questions for the city manager?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Commissioner, did you want to go ahead, or didn't want to jump in front of you? I have served on Chamber of Commerce, a Chamber of Commerce for many, many years, and I appreciate and understand their value to the business community and also to the residential community. So I'm always for it. I'm really understand that they struggle a lot, they suffer a lot. There's not enough money, so they need local government support to be able to exist. I've known Missy for a long, long time, and she is an amazing person. She's great. Have 100% trust in her. But one thing I wanted to mention is that if this is going to happen next year again, so we want to see the value for the money we're spending today. So we need to have you a lot involved. You have been, I see you out there, but we want to see a lot of your involvement with the Madeira Beach business community.
Mr. Vice Mayor, we have, Sunny Flynn is here. She serves on the executive board. I don't know if you serve on the board of directors. I keep getting them confused. I don't even know which one I serve on anymore. But Miranda from the Recreation Department, she serves on one. I serve on the executive board. Miranda was with me at the executive board meeting this morning. And it really does provide value, because those are the types of things that we can attract, events and those types of things to the rec department. These guys are bringing, I called them a micro concept, but they're also trying to get our advertisements in the Allegiant magazine and those types of things, doing things that we as a very lean staff just don't have time to do. And so for $5,000, although $5,000 is real money, I think it's money very, very well spent. And I think Missy's done a good job of turning the organization around. Dennis Fagan, who's now the chairman of the board of directors is a fantastic chairman, and he's the one that's kind of streamlining this possible, I don't want to call it a merger because we'll still have an identity, but they're looking to continue to work hand in glove even further than what they are doing right now. So, Mr. Vice Mayor, I don't want to call you a freshman commissioner, but this board knows that if I told you it was a bad deal, I'd tell you it's a bad deal. And for $5,000, we're definitely getting our money's worth.
I'm confident it's not.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Do you have a consensus?
Yes.
It's in the city manager's budget. It'll be up to you guys whether or not you want to keep it in there when we get to budget time.
Thank you. Next amendment to the land development regulation, and Mr. City Manager, with your permission, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Horton.
Well, yeah, Mr. Mayor, you're the sponsor of this only because I think the issue came to your telephone on a number of occasions. Sam Lewis, who wants to redevelop the other half of Madeira Bay. Barefoot Beach is another one. The possible developments that may or may not occur along 150th. We probably have 4 or 5 situations where this is an issue in town, and it has to do with the ability of owning a condo hotel or a condo hotel unit, and the regulation that's required that once you use it, you can't return to your own unit within 60 days. And I don't pretend to speak Michelle's language, and that's why I hire smart people like Michelle. So Michelle's up here today to walk you through it, but we'd like to actually amend the regulation back to the previous language, if I'm not mistaken. So with that, Michelle, and previous language being from years ago, we amended that, I believe, I don't know what the year it was, but Michelle, if you want to take over, feel free.
Well, I did have a couple of concerns. I wasn't sure how it was written in the past. I did contact Forward Pinellas, and they gave me some information, and that's why I was a little late. I was last minute with them. They did say that in order to do any changes to the hotel condo requirements, all amendments need to go before Forward Pinellas or PPC and receive their approval. Hotel condo is a use that must be approved and must abide by the countywide rules. Because condo hotel receives a higher density, they have to follow those rules as to why they receive the higher density, and it needs to mesh together with the countywide rules on that higher density. We can move it forward. We just need to take it to them for approval or for their review, and then I can also move it forward to the local planning agency. One of their big concerns is there are 2 land uses on that property and 3 zoning districts. And that's where the confusion comes in with that condo hotel. But that's the only one that has the different land uses and zoning. The other properties that city manager was referring to do not.
Yeah, that one circumstance is a convoluted circumstance, but basically what we're saying is that if I own a condo hotel unit, that I have the flexibility to use it and not have to wait X amount of days to come back and use it again. That's all we're basically saying at this point. So the process is, I don't want to say convoluted, but certainly time consuming, and we will go through that. But we've probably had requests now from 4 or 5, 6 different entities saying, can you take a look into this and see if there's any flexibility? And so that's all we need to let you know right now, is that if everybody's okay with that, basically, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, if you own a condo hotel right now, you can stay there for up to 30 days, and then you have to wait 60 days before you revisit your own unit. And that's creating a situation where sales is being prohibited with Barefoot Beach, Madeira Bay, and has the potential for other developments. And so we just want to see what our flexibility is. If there is no flexibility and the PPC says no dice, it is what it is, but we just want to know what our options are at this point. So we just want to go ahead and explore that.
So it'd have to go through the PPC before it came back through.
Correct. It would need to go to PPC, then Planning Commission,
Planning
before you
Commission,
would
then
hear
you
it.
guys.
That's what I understand. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Question. Would we have to amend any land use? Would we have to amend any land uses to this site in order to, because typically speaking, a condo hotel is like transient. It's like overnight accommodation.
Correct.
So it is not like a residential. So it needs to be treated like a hotel. And there has to be a desk. There has to be
Correct.
somebody minding it.
And that is part of the definition for a condo hotel. And they're just minor changes that they are requesting. One is that instead of 60 days, they can stay for 120 days. And like Shane said, instead of waiting that 60 days before they can stay again, they wouldn't have to wait that 60 days for the property owner to stay again.
Honestly, I have a little reservation there. I think we probably need to analyze the very same thing with some of the other cities, and for instance, Clearwater, some of the other cities, and see how they were doing it. I would feel that we may open a can of worms. So I
Well,
would
the
wanna
can of
do-
worms that you're entering into right now is that you're not going to sell any of these condo hotels, and no one's gonna get into the business. So Barefoot Beach is gonna have a difficult time selling their expansion, Madeira Bay, so on and so forth. So that's the problem that they've got, is that people wanna come in and buy, expand your tax base, come here and spend money, but they wanna be able to come back within 60 days to utilize their unit. So that's the real issue at hand right now. And that's it, that's the.
So they're being sold as condos, as hotel units, right?
As condo-tel units,
Yes.
correct. And like you said, it's defined exactly how you described. These people just don't want to be hamstrung by saying, you can't come back for 60 days to your own unit. What they want to do, or I guess what they're asking for, is more rights to the unit that they purchase. That's all. So that's where and I understand your issue as well. You know, you want to keep those tourist dwelling units available as much as you can, but we're not going to get anybody to invest in them if
Yes,
they want
and
to come
if
back
they're
and use them.
condos, then the density is a lot less.
Correct.
So if you want to develop it as a hotel and yet work it as a condo, then I think there's a little bit of an issue there.
Correct.
Now, wouldn't it be, since it's already been, an agreement's already out there, you can't change the agreement no matter what this changed to, if you got the difference from the PPC or the change in the issue, or the change of the land use.
Well, the code is the code.
Exactly.
And so, right now, we have three existing, condo-tel developments, Madeira Bay, or the potential of Madeira Bay 2 is what I've been calling it, Barefoot Beach, and the other one escapes my mind, saying, we're having a hard time selling our units because of this regulation. And so we're not going to expand unless you guys can help us out. That's what we've been getting here at City Hall. That's what's in front of you tonight. So that they can't sell it because people don't want to have to say, oh yeah, if I use it for a week, now I have to wait 8 weeks to come on back. Well, what if I have a family reunion and I want to use my own unit? You know, they're I don't want to say they're thinking selfishly, but they're looking at their own interest because they're investing in their own unit. So that's all they're asking for. So it's a sales issue is what it comes down to.
And just to bring up, Mr. Vice Mayor and Commissioners, what we're asking right now is, I guess, to see if staff can move forward and talk to the PPC and see what it would take to go ahead and change this over. And the second one would be, let's see what it actually does, and I think we can get a report from staff,
Yeah.
what other municipalities have done, and where it's, I mean, we can all call other cities. and find out
I
exactly how it
agree with
works.
the Vice Mayor. I think there's gonna be ramifications of this
Yeah.
either way you go. I think we just need to know if we have any options at all, and if we don't, it's kind of a moot process at that point. And if there is some flexibility, what are the ramifications of that, and we can report back to you once we find that out.
So Michelle, when are you going to take it to the Tampa Bay Regional Planning? Is that who you're taking it to?
Well, I would
Mills
first need,
Planning Council.
I would first need to create a staff report and a letter and send that to PPC or Forward Pinellas. And then once they review it, then I would take it to the,
And if it doesn't pass muster right there, it's done, right?
right,
So it's
correct.
a moot point.
Or they would tell me what changes I would need to make.
Thank you.
Or could make.
Can you keep us abreast on that as soon as you're here?
Yes.
Thanks.
Also, can I ask one other request?
Yeah, go
That we basically look to see what the state regulation is for the condo hotel.
Yes.
So that everybody's okay for it to be brought up in the next workshop, correct?
Well, it might not be the next work.
Well, that's true, okay, well, whenever staff has.
We'll get going on
Okay,
it as
yeah.
fast as we can.
Okay. So either it'll be on the next workshop or it'll be on the next workshop.
It'll be next on the
Agenda
next-
setting meeting.
Once we get something, you'll be the
Okay.
first to know.
All right. Thank you. Next amendment to the LDR floodplain management. Michelle?
My turn again. In 2013, FEMA requested that all cities in the Community Rating System, or CRS, change their floodplain ordinance. An example was sent to all of the cities. At that time, Madeira Beach did not complete theirs. At this time, we are requesting this to go to the Planning Commission to be completed so that we can be up to where we need to be on our CRS. There are a couple of changes we would like to add to the floodplain ordinance. One is cumulative time frame. An example of this is if someone wanted to build their home or do some substantial improvement to their home, they are allowed at 50%. Everyone has heard of the 50% rule. Currently, someone can go in and apply for a building permit, and let's say their max was 50,000. At this time, they can go in and apply and use 40,000 of that. And they complete their building permit, and they're all done, they get it inspected, and they're good to go. Well, the next week, they can go and apply for another building permit. They're still to LDR code. What the cumulative will do is put them on hold for an entire year. So instead of pulling that second permit right away, they would need to wait an entire year before they could pull another permit for substantial improvement. I did talk to a few of the communities around here, and South Pasadena has 1 year, Clearwater has 1 year. There are a couple that don't have any time frame, which they are also trying to get that. And I believe it's Oldsmar that has 10 years between permits. So that's one of the changes we wanted to add to our floodplain manages is the cumulative of 1 year. A second item that we have been looking at is the freeboard. Currently, we have 1 foot of freeboard. If we add another foot and make it 2 feet of freeboard, it increases our CRS points by approximately 200 points. And what that does, it lowers our CRS score, but we get a higher discount on our flood insurance. So those are a couple of things along with our floodplain ordinance that we would like to consider and move forward to the LPA.
Thanks, Michelle. And I understand the CRS rating, I believe we have great numbers now in Madeira Beach. So
Yes,
this
we
was just
have.
improving. And I think right now, it's the average is like 18% savings on your,
We have a 20% savings
Okay.
at this time. We need 500 points to push us up to the next one to receive a 25% savings on our flood insurance. And that's for every resident that has flood insurance in the city of Madeira Beach.
thank you, Michelle. Commissioners, it's your pleasure. I think that's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'd like to caution this board with only one thing. When you raise it by an extra foot, you're also raising the height of a building that would be coming before this board by an extra foot, because the height is generally measured from BFE, base flood elevation, and if that's base flood elevation, which has 2 feet of will have 2 feet of freeboard, the height will measure from that point on. So if, for instance, today, the height is 80 feet from BFE, it will become 81 feet.
Michelle, do you know what that is right off the top of your head? I
The
think it's,
majority of our places are 30,
Yeah,
and
okay.
some are 40 feet. And what it does, it measures from base flood elevation plus 1 foot of freeboard. And so at that 1 foot, then you would measure your 30 feet from that.
okay.
One quick question, Mr. Mayor. The substantial improvement, your example was 40,000 or 50,000 or 80%. Is that a standard or what's a
50%.
substantial?
Substantial improvement is 50%.
Right.
So
So if they use the full 50, then they have to wait another year. But you go up to the full
Correct.
50. So say, for lack of better, what if we use 48%? Are you telling me that they have to use the 50%?
then they would only have 2,000 left to make any improvements. They could use up to that 50% in 1 year.
And then they wouldn't be reassessed for another year, is what you're saying? So they wouldn't have
Correct.
to pay taxes on that improvement for the year? Or does the county go ahead and reassess that at the end of the permit process?
Whatever time of year that the reassessed property is when that will be reassessed. They do receive a copy of all of our building permits, so they are up to date with everything that happens in the city.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Commission? Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Next, item 5, Mr. City Attorney, actually, I'm going to turn item 5 and 6 over to you to make sure everything is crystal clear.
All right, the city clerk is going to distribute to you the applications and the tabulation sheets. I'm not sure if you've already got those. But my suggestion is that you place your vote in the column that you are labeled at the top. And at the end of this meeting, the city clerk and possibly Vince will be calculating these up and will bring it back to you for an official vote at the next regular meeting, what the total is. So
I think, Mr. City Attorney, if I can butt in, I think what we're gonna do is tabulate them during this meeting and announce the winning candidate, so that if you're a losing candidate, you don't have to come to the next meeting, if that would be okay.
yes, but I want a specific motion to be made at the next regular meeting
Correct.
based upon the tabulation of the votes at this particular meeting.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney.
And the applications themselves were already distributed.
Correct. Okay, thank you, Madam.
We have one problem with the form. Where's District 3?
Apologize if you would make a
I get
correction.
left
That
out
should
all the
be-
time. I'm used to it.
Okay, what change is being made so we know, Amy? I'm not sure what the,
It says District
Yes.
4 instead of District 3,
You got it.
okay, if you could cross that out then and correct it on your sheets.
and you would use the vice mayor one.
Yes. It's okay.
There's always a solution.
It happens.
And there's no problem with that, Mr. City Attorney?
No,
Okay. Should we initial by where we marked District 3?
you don't
Just
need
for-
to, so long
okay,
as you're
well,
voting in your
right.
column.
Okay, we just want to make sure.
Okay.
Do you want to move to item 5 or
Excuse me?
item 5? I guess we've covered, excuse me, item 6.
Yeah, we're gonna do that the same way.
Okay.
If you could finish 5 first, though, and pass that down so we don't get the two of them confused in the packet.
Mr. Mayor, when you're ready, I can collect them and I'll give them to the city clerk, and the finance director will tabulate them while she distributes the next one for the Civil Service Commission.
I also want to point out, I think there's another mistake on the form because it indicates that the highest ranked applicant will be selected, and that's incorrect. It's whoever, the number 1.
It's the lowest ranked. In other words, the
Correct.
lowest number will be in the number 1 position.
Correct.
A little confusing.
Is everybody ready? Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, since number 6 is a short list, just for time's sake, you may want to move on to number 7 once I collect the sheets, and then Vince and Amy can tabulate, and we can discuss item number 7 while they're tabulating, and then before we adjourn, we can announce the top voters, or top vote getters, if you will, for each commission. So is everybody done with their Civil Service Commission vote? Because I will come around and collect that.
All right, next, item number 7, discussion on library board vacancy due to lack of applications. Mr. City Manager.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I bring this up because I think you can probably handle this a couple of different ways, and it's not that the library board is like the least attractive of the 3. It just didn't receive any applications, and so, what I would recommend, and you're certainly, the board can do what they wish, is I would re-advertise and just announce that if you didn't get on the plan commission, or you didn't get on the civil service board, and you wish to, serve the city in some capacity, to apply for the library board. So we'll probably advertise for a couple of weeks and then bring this back to you at the next workshop. I'm trying to think right now, we're nearing the season where they start up their meetings again. And so the incumbent, who is Mr. Steve Kochek, was not interested in reapplying. So I was going to say, we could, request anybody that did not get elected to the Civil Service Commission or the Plan Commission, but I would just encourage those people to consider applying otherwise. So my recommendation is for you to advise your city clerk to re-advertise for that position, and we'll bring it back to you next month.
Commission?
It's fine.
Yes.
Sounds like a good idea. All right. Madam City Clerk?
As long as it's marked on the sheet.
I believe that is it. If there's any other items,
Well, yeah, we're gonna have
you want to go ahead and let them tabulate before we close this meeting?
we're gonna tabulate and let the people know who are the top vote getters, because the top vote getters will be sworn in at the next meeting. Those that were not elected or appointed, so to speak, we encourage your continued involvement with the city of Madera Beach. Consider the library board appointment, or these appointments come up almost every year because of how they're staggered. So just because you didn't get it this time doesn't mean that you can't get it next time.
We had a lot of wonderful applicants, a lot of good applicants that applied. and It's commendable.
How many meetings for the library board every year? Can you-
I want to say they average about 9. I think they just take the summer off. Every once in a while, they'll have a canceled agenda for lack of agenda items, but usually September, usually the typical school years when they meet.
Because I know Steve Kochek was a seated commissioner when he was on the board, and he just continued that when he was not seated. So it's open to the board too. If anybody wants to serve on the library board, you're welcome to do that.
I served on it for 2 years.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think Steve did that while he was on the board, but then was off the board and was just a separate applicant at this last term, because obviously he wasn't on the commission.
Yeah, I just want to offer it to the board. to-
What time of the day are those meetings?
I want to say it's about 4 o'clock on, it's a Monday, I believe. Monday or Tuesday, I can certainly, yeah, Maryland's right there. Third Monday of the month, 4 o'clock. Right. And those meetings are about 6 or 7 hours long, or? No? They're about an hour, so, if you're interested in it, let me, if a commissioner is interested, let me know after the meeting, and we can certainly revisit the idea of advertising. But I think we should just go about the process of advertising, and if a commissioner is interested, they can apply like anybody else. Mr. Mayor, I think your city clerk is ready with the tabulated votes.
For the Planning Commission, we have Robin Pulaski, Sonny Flynn, and Mike Noble.
And Mr. Mayor, not to interrupt the city clerk, but there are, if those members are not present tonight, and some of them I wouldn't even know their name or their face yet, if they're not here and the city attorney is going to go through the process of swearing them in, they can be sworn in at the Plan Commission meeting. I believe the Civil Service Commission does not need to be sworn in, if I'm correct, Mr. City Attorney? They don't.
They don't, but we're going to go ahead and do them if they're here.
If they're here, we'll swear them in, but if somebody's not absent, that does not preclude them from being appointed by the board tonight.
And since we're going to go ahead and everybody that applied, thank you very much for y'all that are going to be on the board. It's an outstanding board. I served on it for 5 to 6 years. It's a fantastic way to serve the city of Madeira Beach, and you definitely learn a lot about your city. At the regular meeting, the applicants that I guess that are going to be voted on, I'll go ahead and let you get a chance to come up and introduce yourself at the regular meeting at 6 o'clock if you'd like to stick around, which is probably only 10, 15 minutes away, if that's okay.
And Mr. Mayor, we have the tabulation for the Civil Service Board as well.
And for the Civil Service, it's Jim Everett and Tammy Slater Kendrick.
And also for the same thing, I don't believe I see Mr. Everett in the crowd, but I believe we'll do the same thing at the 6 p.m. meeting when we vote on that.
And Mr. Mayor, like I said, some of the names and
Yeah.
faces you may not know, I may not know, so you may
Right.
just have to
Yeah, I know.
ask to raise their
Probably
hand.
when we do it at 6 o'clock, we'll figure that one out.
Correct.
All right, is there any further business? All right, seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 5:47 p.m.